So, hello, welcome back. I'm going to talk about society and economy now because that's basically life as we know it. Okay, so what was one of the major impacts of autonomy, of this modern way of being, which was very anthropocentric? Well, it had a very big impact on society and economy because one of the big impacts in society and in our ways of living and being is that our lives are defined by consumption, which is really sad. Because consuming is as a defining characteristic of human existence, we can really say that consuming is really defining the way we exist. Okay? Kunyari, sa Facebook, isipin nyo lang, ano ba pinagpo-post nyo lagi? Di ba it's always something you consume? O aminin, di ba? I mean, like kunwari, and like what? Hindi naman well, pagkain lang ba yung pinopost ko doon? Okay, fine, pagkain is one thing, but that's not the only thing you consume. You always post like, oh, look at my new toy. Like, I bought a camera, my new car, ganyan, di ba? Or else, what do you also post? Experiences. Oh, look where I went. I went to this bar. Haha, wala na kayong mapuntahan ngayon. Pero dati, di ba? I went to this bar, or I went to Paris, and I went to Europe, ganyan. So all these things, these are all consuming the world. That's your attitude, di ba? Parang gusto ko maranasan to, nanamnamin ko to, ganyan. Tapos ipopost ko sa Facebook. Kasi basically, these things define who we are and what we're about eh. So, we really have lives focused on increasing consumption. Di ba? Parang the richer you get, the more you consume eh. Think about it. O, kaya naman naging uso si Marie Kondo. Tama ba yun, Marie Kondo? Basta, the lady who says live minimally at saka yung minimalism. Kasi every time talaga your markers for a better life, our markers, yours eh, kala mo hindi ako kasama dun eh. Pero our markers for a better life is how much we can consume, right? It's either we increase our consumption, ang dami ko nang nabibili ngayon, na mas mayaman ako, o dati, nung hamak na instructor lang ako, ganyan. Pero ngayon, professor na ako, okay, pareha lang ako nabibili ko, okay, hindi kayo mayaman as a teacher. Pero mas marami siguro kahit konti akong nabibili kasi or mas nag-improve yung consumption mo, you can actually you can actually afford more things, 'di ba? Like, oh wow, look at this. Now I can dati hanggang ano lang ako, hanggang SM, ganun yung mga damit ko, which I say is probably better in a sense or Divisoria. Pero sabihin din, yun, H&M na ako. Tapos eventually, magsha-Chanel ka na ganyan. Baduy, pero whatever. Diba? It's a sign of whatever. Like, because I can increase my consumption or I improve my consumption or I expand my consumption. Dati, mahilig ako sa pagkain. Tapos ngayon, kape na ang aking inaano, all kinds of coffee, dude, from all over the world, and I can do any way of doing, I can have many ways of doing it, diba? Like, dati press lang, dati nga brewed lang, ganyan. Ngayon, pour over, tapos meron pang pressure, ganyan, whatever. And now, I bought an espresso machine, ganon. So, when you have that, then you're a better person, right? And when you improve your consumption, it proves na, oh, look, I developed. Diba? Dati hamak lang akong ganito, ito lang yung mga nakakain ko. Ngayon, nakaka-ano na ako, diba? Nakaka-Jollibee na ako araw-araw. Dati special celebration Jollibee. Pero ngayon, pag gusto kong special celebration, okay, these are pre-COVID days, of course. Naalala niyo pa ba yung buhay bago mag-COVID? Anyway, bad joke ba yun? Sorry. Anyway, but true, di ba? Parang bago mag-COVID, dati hindi po ako nakaka-Jollibee araw-araw. Tapos yumaman ka ng konti, nakaka-Jollibee ka ng araw-araw. At kung gusto mo ng special occasion, doon, ang dami mo naman pupunta. Okay, hindi ko alam yung mga social na restaurant. But anyway, you know what I'm saying. So much of our activities really focus on that for most of our day. We create things to consume in order to acquire things. I mean, we create things to consume, tayo yung producers, in order so that we can sell it, so that we can acquire the means, this money or credit, to consume more things. And then when we can consume more things, we desire to consume more things, so we create more things for people to buy from us or to sell to other people, right? So in that case, basically our lives are just really focused on consuming more, consuming better. So life is often focused on the need to consume because it enhances our sense of self-worth. Okay, yun nga, sinabi ko, pagka mas marami ka nako-consume or you consume better things or you consume more social things, you're a probably higher level person than the lower level person. You know, like when you meet someone who goes to Starbucks and says, ano ba yan? Ano bang yang, ano ba to? Ang tapang-tapang naman ng kape niyan. Or ang pait-pait naman ng kape niya. Like, oh my God, really? Seriously? That's Guatemala or whatever coffee, ganyan. And, hey, sorry, I'm one of those people in the lower levels. Okay. But when you can go to someone and says, oh my God, that's not how you drink wine, really. That makes you feel like, oh, it's because I know how to drink good wine because I'm the upper level person, diba? I'm a higher level person. I'm a more enhanced person. Okay. It also enhances our community standing kasi the more, depending on what you can consume, people look up to you, right? Like if your car is a BMW or a Peugeot, diba? Hindi niya masabi yan dati, no? Nilagay pa nga ng Peugeot yung kanilang pronunciation dun sa kanilang building para pagpasok niyo hindi kayo tatanga-tanga at sinasabi, ano yung Pajos, Pajos, ganyan. Anyway, yeah, if you still don't know it, it's the French car. Anyway, French ba? Okay, anyway. Um, Consumption also gives the illusion that life is meaningful and thick. Anong ibig sabihin nun? Ito rin yung mahalaga eh. The more you have, the more you progress or grow, the more it gives you a goal. So parang may kahulugan yung buhay mo. And then consumption gives you a goal, it makes your life enhanced, diba? Parang for many of us, the activity itself, the creative act itself is not enough. There has to be a goal, and the goal is, what can I consume if I do this? What can I buy if I do this? What kind of house will I live in? Where can I travel if I do this, diba? So it makes my life feel like it has a goal, it's meaningful. But also, the more I have, the more I am shored against nothingness or suffering and death. Kasi isipin nyo ngayon, ito, perfect example, COVID. Sino ba talaga yung, kasi tingnan nyo, who are the people suffering from this? Yung mga walang savings, right? Yung mga walang buffer. In other words, yung unang kinamaan, yung talagang mahihirap. Kasi yung buhay nila, isang kahig, isang tuka. Nung nawala yung kahig, nawala yung tutukain, di ba? So, as soon as we were shut down, nako, the poor really, the poorest of the poor, because they live from meal to meal and from day to day, sila yung nawalan kaagad. Pero a lot of the rich people, they're even enjoying their life and like, oh my gosh, when we shut down, I just realized I have such a lovely home. It gave me a chance to enjoy my home. Yung ganon, di ba? Bakit? Kasi yung, meron silang trabaho na pwedeng ma-buffer yung crisis. They have enough resources to make sure na hindi sila magugutom. They have enough savings to make sure na when there's a crisis like this, they can spend it. You know what I'm saying? You're shored against nothingness. Yung shored, ibig sabihin parang may buffer ka. Okay? Parang meron kang makapal na pwedeng banggain ng alon para hindi ka malunod. Yung nakakatakot naman sa buhay ng tao, yung pagdurusa at yung kamatayan right? So, what alleviates suffering? Resources, the stuff you can consume, the stuff you can accumulate, the wealth you have. And what makes you think that you'll never die when you're very powerful and you have a lot of money and you have a lot of things to consume? Oh, consumption also signals power, ha? Kasi, di ba, the more power you have, the more you can consume, the better you can consume. Diba? Kasi kunwari, once the vaccine is, diba now, the fear is, and probably the truth is, once that vaccine for COVID is found, rich countries will be the first ones to have it. They will consume it. And that is their way of protecting themselves against death. And why will they protect themselves against death? Because they're able to consume the guard against death. Why? Because they have a lot of resources. So the fact that they can consume the cure for or the immunity versus COVID shows you that they have standing in the community, that they are powerful, that they can stand against death. That's why consumption means so much. Kasi it's symbolic talaga. It tells the better and more you can consume, the more you can think to yourself, hindi ako mamatay. One day, kaya ko rin yan. Kaya ko mabuhay na walang hanggan. Okay. By the way, may mga theories talaga na through cell therapy, if only they can fix the cells as they die, they really won't die. And I don't know if nakakatuwa yun sa inyo. But guess what? The richest lang will be able to live forever. Okay, anyway, next. So also the idea of consumption is important because with consumption, we feel like we have well-being. Di ba? Yung parang yung pakiramdam mo, kasi you consume, mas mabuti, yung buhay mo ay mabuti. Yung kaginhawaan. Although, you know what? You can't really buy kaginhawaan. In the Filipino sense, ay sorry, may truck na dumadaan. Ganyan talaga yung sa amin. Um, Pero, di ba, parang kaginhawaan, you can't really buy, parang social ba, you can't buy kaginhawaan. Pero yun, you can't buy kaginhawaan. Hindi mo mabibili yung kaginhawaan, right? Pero, nandun yung illusion na if you consume more and you consume better and you can consume a lot, then magiging maginhawa ang buhay. Okay? So, there's this unspoken understanding that the more we consume, the greater our well-being. But guys, you know what? Mga teachers dyan, you know what? There's statistical evidence that shows that this is not true. In surveys of high-income nations like in England and the US, it really shows you na hindi sila maginhawa, hindi talaga mataas yung well-being nila. In fact, there's a correlation that as GNP and the capacity to consume more rose, satisfaction and well-being rose for a while. Siyempre, kasi your society is improving. Wow, we can consume more. We have the capacity to consume more and then we feel richer, ganyan. So, you feel satisfied and you have well-being. But after a point, it plateaus and then it drops because then the illusion of us. So the richer we become, the better our lives are. But then they realize the richer they become, the more disillusioned they are about human existence. Kasi parang it doesn't naman talaga respond to or improve your existence apparently. Consuming and wealth accumulation don't. Okay. You know what countries have the best sense of well-being and satisfaction? Not the countries that are richest, but the countries that are most equal. Yun. Kaya yung Scandinavian countries daw are some of the happiest countries. Not because they're rich, although they are, but it's not really because they're rich. Because even if there are countries naman that aren't rich, but they also have satisfaction, it's really because of equality. Think about it. Okay. So sadly, to achieve a high level of consumption has become a goal for most humans. You know what? This is because of the spread of like a virus, no? Pero like the spread of the pandemic of Western civilization. Joke lang, yung sabihin sinabi ko yan. Pero really, the pandemic of, hindi, inulit ko paano. Okay, fine, not the pandemic of Western civilization. But because of the imposed spread of Western civilization, yun, we have most of our nations have been convinced, most of the people in the world, at least the ones who control the economies and the economic systems and the financial systems of the world, really are convinced in a sense they need to achieve a high level of consumption in order to be happy and to have well-being. Pero to achieve a high level of consumption, it's the same truck, guys. It just passed again. To achieve a high level of consumption, which is above our natural need to enhance our sense of being in the world, we really also create systems that allow us to consume like mad. These are very exploitative systems. In order to be able to increase your consumption, you have to exploit fellow human beings and exploit nature. So, in the end, this mad dash for consumption has threatened our existence, and in a sense, it also created threatens our own existence. Kasi nagkaroon ng mad dash crisis in a sense. And I mean, there's this mad rush to create consumption without really understanding the earth or caring for the earth. And then there's no caring for our fellow human beings. So it's a very exploitative existence that we created in order to be able to achieve this high level of consumption based on the kinds of civilizations that Western nations have imposed on the world. And because of that, sadly, we have become destructive. So the root of it all is this capacity to build systems of mass consumption. The capacity to build systems of mass consumption is really rooted in our capacity to separate ourselves from the presencing of what is not human as well as what is not I. Okay? What does that mean? Parang ang weird yata nun. Hindi, para kasi in the end, in order to be able to really build these systems of mass consumption, in order to be able to build these systems of mass engaging the world and consuming and eating things and all of that, we have had to look at nature as something separate from us. In other words, as a resource, yung ginagamit lang, kinokonsumo lang. Diba? And also fellow human beings, as we all look at them as workers, as cogs, as things that we use and to further our own purposes. And then, because of that, we also have look at ourselves as machines rin as something that just needs to be fed. Yun lang nga, fed complicatedly, entertained, fed, allowed to live in a way that's very consuming, ganyan. So, yun, from the presencing, the way we are presencing, we are really distancing ourselves from what is the world of nature, our fellow human beings, and ourselves. Because basically, we're just focused on producing, consuming, accumulating, and then producing the systems that sustain this without really questioning if this consumption and production really furthers our human flourishing. It's an old-fashioned idea, pero nagiging mas tao ka ba talaga sa pamamagitan ng mga bagay na to? Okay, let's take a break here.